Jivanti miss.
Yes, Hamidrini.
Uh, uh,
Yes, Hamidrini, we can start now. Dr. Vikas also
okay.
start here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'll start. Good afternoon, you all participants. So it is my pleasant duty to extend a gracious and inclusive welcome to all of you. We all here at the moment have connected to the last session of the international webinar on multilingualism and Buddhist perspectives, which is entitled as Basic Concepts of Buddhism Through Diverse Languages. So I will move on to introduce the foremost chairperson of the session. He is Dr. Vikas Singh, who graduated from the University of Rajasthan in 2008 and completed his MA, MPhil, and PhD in Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. He is also, as I think, he is also a multilingualist because he has proficiency in Hindi, English, Sanskrit, Pali, Mongolian, Rajasthani, and Raj languages. So at the present, he works as assistant professor in the Department of Sanskrit, Mawari College in Bihar. So I would like to invite coldly and respectfully to Dr. Vikas Singh to chair the session. So it's over to you, Dr. Vikas Singh.
Thank you,
And
Vanderwall, Salakatharagam, Gadalankara Thero, for giving me this opportunity and giving my brief introduction. First of all, I would like to welcome all of dignitaries, professors, venerables, researchers for joining in this seventh session entitled Basic Concepts of Buddhism Through Diverse Languages. On the behalf of the organizing team of International Webinar on Multilingualism and Buddhist Perspective, organized by Faculty of Language, Buddhist and Pali University, Sri Lanka. I would like to thanks to organizer, especially our the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dean Sir, and the Professor Lenigal Srinivasan Mahathero, and the webinar chair, Venerable Kandengama Deepabansalankar, webinar Joint Secretary, Ms. Jivanti Hittarchi, for giving me such opportunity to chair this session. From Pali language to till English, Buddhist literature have a great tradition in almost every language. Pali, Prakrit, Gandhari, Apabhrans, Sanskrit, Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit, Hindi, and other Indian so many languages. Even in every Indian languages, even Dravid Indian languages and Indo-Aryan languages also. And Asian languages, Sinhala, Thai, Vietnamese, Mongolian, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Uzbek, Kazakh, even in Arabic, Turkish, and others, we can easily find the Buddhist literature. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the basic concept of Buddhist ideas through diverse languages. We will take the question and answer after all presentations. Audience can write their questions in the chat box. And we have 6 presentation in this session. So first, I would like to invite Pitolei Victoria from Ivano Francois National Medical University for presenting his paper on basic concept of Buddhism in the works of Ukrainian writer Ivan Franko. Ivano Francoescu. I would
Yes,
like to
I'm
invite-
here. Good afternoon. I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, your video presentation is available. Please wait for a while. We are playing it.
Mhm.
Givanti miss, if she likes to present live, we can give her chance, no?
Yes, Hamadurani. Yeah.
Yeah, just ask from her. Vikas, Dr.
Okay,
Vikas.
Venerable. The second is Miss SMMD Kumari from Aquinas College of Higher Studies, and she's going to present overcoming ethnocentrism in higher education through English language in multicultural education settings in Sri Lanka. Miss Kumari. I think she's not there. The Agrim Bhakta Vartate Eru Vav Gramajiguda Shoma Bhikshu Sri Lanka Istita Bauddhapali Vishwavidyalaya Anusandhata Tasya Vishayo Asti Manusastre Cha Sogata Nugata Dharme Marage Guru Acharyopadhyaya Nama Padatraya Vidyamano Sama Visamata Prati Vimarshanam. So I would like to invite Venerable Guna Shoma Bhikkhu.
Dr. Vikas, shall I play Miss Pajoy's video?
Yeah, ma'am. Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria Pitulay. I'm from Ukraine, from Ivano-Frankivsk National Medical University. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria Pitulay. I'm from Ukraine, from Ivano-Frankivsk National Medical University. The title of my topic is Basic Concepts of Buddhism in the works of Ukrainian writer Ivan Franko. Introduction. The undeniable relevance of the study of the philosophical potential of Tibetan Buddhism is justified not only by the purely scientific context of the development of this topic, but also by the meticulous attention of a wide range of domestic intellectuals to the confusing and mysterious specifics of Tibetan culture as a whole. Objectives: revealing the key methodological foundations of the historical and philosophical study of Tibetan Buddhism in Ukrainian literature, in particular in the works of Ivan Franko. Ivan Yakovlevich Franko's worldview, creative and scientific views were addressed to the philosophical, religious, and literary heritage, not only of Europe, but also of Asia. His works reveal a deep knowledge of such religions as Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and Buddhism. The outstanding Ukrainian writer Franko paid great attention to the study of Buddhism. Interested in Buddhism, Franko found himself as a scientist, translator, and poet. Apart from him, no one else in Ukrainian culture has been able to combine these three components of creative genius in their work. Franko's interest in Orientalism is primarily due to his worldview. Thus, the poet notes, My morality is significantly different from the catechetical dogmatic morality that we consider to be a lonely Christian one. But I'm sure that at its core, it is far closer to the morality of all those great teachers of humanity, seeking the kingdom of God and his truth, than the kneeling, bowing, and hard-hearted morality of many pillars of the church. In the preface to the fourth edition of the poem Nikita's Fox, the poet notes, Indians, a people gifted with rich imagination and quick wit, who like to start deep reflections on the highest questions about God, the purpose of man, and his life on earth. These thoughts impressed the poet also because they agreed with the existential ideas of the time. Note that a certain frustration, a sense of exhaustion of the Christian cultural paradigm, and consequently the search for new moral guidelines in other cultures and religions in general, characterize the European philosophical thought of the 19th century. The basic idea of this religious and philosophical teaching is the need for spiritual awakening, which will free a person from the suffering caused by attachment to earthly existence. Franco's moral and philosophical pursuits are best illustrated by the collections Whistled Leaves, My Emerald, and Semper Tiro. Indicative for them, the study of Oriental motifs and plots was manifested primarily in the saturation of texts with thematically oriented tokens, as well as in the selection for the representation of the Buddhist worldview of specific units of the Ukrainian poetic dictionary. Thus, the nouns Buddha, Buddhist, Samsara, Nirvana are expected to be the marker words of the most important Buddhist persons and concepts. From the scientific literature on Buddhism, Ivan Franko translated 2 articles by the famous French Buddhist Léon Fay. This translation is interesting to us because it gives another evidence of Ivan Franko's knowledge of Buddhism. The articles themselves are a description of the life of the Buddha and an account of the history of Buddhism from the first cathedrals to its state in the late 19th century in various regions, such as Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Tibet, the Himalayas, Mongolia, China, and Japan. The translation into Ukrainian of Ivan Franko of first articles is the first acquaintance of the Ukrainian reader with the systematic exposition of Buddhism. Both the Buddhist translations and the Buddhist poetry of Ivan Franko are the first experience of introducing Buddhist realities in Ukrainian literature. Thus, if Ivan Franko was not the first among Ukrainian intellectuals who in his work turned to the Buddhist heritage, it was he who managed to realize the reception of Buddhist spirituality. Influence of Franko's moral and philosophical search on his poetic work is represented best of all by his collectors, Leaves, Seer, My Emerald, and Semper Tiro. But specific of Poe's creative adaptation of Oriental motifs and plots appeared first of all in traditional lingual means of the Ukrainian poetic vocabulary of that time, usage aimed at Buddhist belief system representation. Comparatively with the traditional lexemes, Franko used not very much exotisms, and their meaning is transformed in the aesthetic aims. Sacral notions samsara, nirvana are being used to denote existential phenomenon like life, death, as well as take part in internal psycho-emotional portrait of a man modeling. So poetic and translator's activity of Ivan Franko is amazingly diverse, and reception of Oriental dictionary made by poet is a prominent contribution into the Ukrainian poetic vocabulary. The Buddhist motifs in the poetic creative activity of Ivan Franko investigation reveals the direction of the further scientific research, analysis of Oriental ethnic or sacral motifs in poets' original works and poetic translations. Probably today it is still difficult to give an unambiguous answer to the question why it is still possible to explain Ivan Franko's interest in Buddhism. However, the works of Franko considered by us allow us to assume that the Buddhism he was interested above all in living experience, a practical focus on achieving a religious ideal. In this case, using the classification of Torchinov, Buddhism for Ivan Franko could act as a religion of pure experience. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, ma'am. And it was very great presentation through the Ukrainian language.
Thank you. It's a very big honor to be here with you. It's my second time because previous year I was at the conference in Sri Lanka. That's why I'm very great to hear you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, again.
Thank you.
And second, we would like to invite Miss SMMD Kumari. Then Venerable Gudashoma Bhikshu is available here.
Yes, Venerable is here. We can play his video.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. So Venerable is going to present in Sanskrit language. So Agrim Bhakta Vartate Erubaba Gramaja Gudashoma Bhikshu Sri Lanka Istitah Bauddhapali Vishwavidyalayasya Anusandhata Tasya Vishayo Asti Manusastre Cha Saugatanugat Dharma Marge Guru Acharya Padhyaya Nama Padatraye Viddhamana Sama Vishamata Pratibimarshanam. So I would like to invite Venerable Gudashoma.
Mang. I already sent my abstract.
Chaksur militang yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Adhyaham manusastrecha saugatanugata dharma marge Guru Acharya Upadhyaya Nama Padatre Vidyamana Samavishamata Prati Vimarshanam Nama Matruka Prati Ekaha Prakati Karanam Atava Eka Utsargam Kartum Gamishyamihi Bhavadbhya Samyak Jnatam Visve Stita Atyanta Ekoho Bandhanang Nama Guru Shishya Sambandhak Eva Acharyasya Samipam Prati Yaha Shishyah Yadi Vrajet Pramukaha Ekaha Apekshayaha Tathi Swa Abhyantara Tataiva Bahya Abhisangvardhanaya Tatprati Katopnisade Antake Evan Prakasham Vidyate Saha Navatu Saha Nav Bunaktu Saha Viryan Karava Vahai Tejasvi Navadita Mastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai Om Shanti Tataiva Anya Ekaha Prakasham Upanisade Vidyate Tat Shishya Parthanam Iti Uchyate Tathi Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrutoma Amrutangamaya Idang Patanusarena Iha Pravaktartan Nama Yaha Shishyaha Guru Antike Yadi Gamishyati Tathi Unnata Apekshata Eva Bhavishyati Manusmrutyanusarena Tatra Yadi Chet Tarhi Dasa Varga Shishyaha Pateti Iti Pedarsheti Tani Dasavargah Nama Kim Tat Pratyeka Shlokam Vidyati Manusmute Acharyaha Putraha Sushrur Jnanadho Dharmikaha Suchihi Aptaha Saktor Detang Sadhu Sodyapya Dasa Dharmataha Atra Dasa Pujjalaha Atava Dasa Chatraha Pratikatyate Kani Dasa Pujjalah Nama Pratamaha Acharyasya Putraha Ditiyaha Guru Kshevyang Icchati Saha Tritiyaha Jnanadu Chaturti Dharmikaha Panchami Pavitraha Tadanantarang Jnatikaha अथवा मित्रः सप्तमी ज्ञातवन्तः अष्टमी अर्थदः नवः अवङ्कः दशः ज्ञातिः इति अत्र विद्यते तथैव वद्यपुज्जलाः कदापि किञ्चमपि कारणवशात् वेदं प्रति ज्ञानं दातुं गुरुभिः नापेक्षन्ते यदि अददत् तत् ज्ञानं पश्चात् अनर्थाय एव भवेत् तर्हि तत् ज्ञानार्थं न विद्यते ततः मनुस्मृते निश्चयेन स्वशिष्याणां प्रति विमर्शते इदमर्थं प्रति मनुस्मृते ईदृशं प्रकाशं विद्यते विद्यायैव समं कामं वर्तव्यं ब्रह्मवादिताः आपद्यपि घोरायान् न भवेना मीरिनो वपेत् अधुना अहं मनुस्मृत्यानुगत आचार्यः प्रति कीदृशं प्रकाशम् अथवा कीदृशं लक्षणानि विद्यते इति प्रवक्तुम् इच्छामि ततः मनुशास्त्रे प्रकाशित आचार्यस्य स्वभावः एव यदुच्यते उपनीयतु यः शिष्यं वेदमध्यापयेद्विजः सङ्कल्पं सर्वस्यञ्च तमाचार्यं प्रचक्षते वयं सर्वेभ्यः सम्यक् ज्ञातं यदि ब्राह्मणधारकः उपनयनं न भवेत् तर्हि सः किञ्चित्मपि कार्यं प्रति अयोग्यः एव भवति ततः यः आचार्यः यः शिष्यम् उपनीयं कृत्वा तस्य सङ्कल्पसूत्रञ्च स रहस्येन वेदञ्च यदि पाठयेत् सः ब्राह्मणाचार्यः इति यः उच्यते अधुना गुरुः प्रति कः नाम मनुस्मृते विद्यते इति वयं इदं पश्यामः गुरुः आचार्यात् अथवा आचार्यतः अन्तरेऽपि किञ्चित् संलक्षणं विद्यते ततः यः शिष्याय गर्भानोत्सवन् इत्यपि कार्यान् कुरुते तथैव अन्नपानेन पोषयते सः ब्राह्मणः गुरुः इति उच्यते ततः उपाध्यायः आचार्यः गुरुः इति त्रीणि पुज्यलानि अत्र दृश्यते ततः मनुशास्त्रे एतेषु अन्तरे कानि भेदानि विद्यते इति एव दृश्यते उपाध्यायदशाचार्यम् आचार्याणाञ्च शतं पिता सहस्रं तु पितॄन् माता गौरवेनाति रिच्यते अयं श्लोकानुसारेण उपाध्यायस्य तत् आचार्यः दशवारः श्रेष्ठम् इति प्रकाशते तथैव सौगत धर्ममार्गे च आचार्यः उपाध्यायः तथैव गुरुः इति शिष्यस्य जीवितानुबद्ध त्रीणि पुज्यलानि विद्यते तत्कारणं चुल्लवग्गपालि नाम ग्रन्थे वत्तकन्धो नाम काण्डे विद्यते तत्र कथं इमे त्रीणि पुज्यलैः सह कार्याणि कर्तुं शक्यते इति वद्यते तथापि तत्र 14 कार्याणि अथवा 14 व्रतानि दृश्यते सौगतधर्मानुगतेन आचार्यस्य तथैव शिष्यस्य पुत्रपितृस्नेहेन कार्याणि कर्तव्यानि इति वद्यते तत् पुत्रपितृसङ्कल्पः इति वद्यते महावग्गपाली नाम ग्रन्थे ईदृशानि 7 लक्षणानि प्रवर्तते इति वद्यते का ते लक्षणानि बहुश्रुतो पञ्यवा उपट्टित सतिः आरद्ध वीर्येण सद्धुः हिरिमा उत्तप्पि इति परामर्शनं वशेन एवं मनुस्मृते च सौगतधर्मे च आचार्य उपाध्याय गुरुः इति पदत्रयं प्रति अनेकानि निर्वचनानि अनेकानि सङ्कल्पानि विद्यते ततः परिसमाप्ति वशेन इमे त्रीणि परिषत् नित्यं स्वछात्राणाम् अभिवृद्धिं प्रार्थयति तथैव ते नित्यं सन्मार्गे योजयति इति मम सङ्कल्पः पवित्राणि च मधुराणि च कल्पना उदेतु ते मनसे सदः ओम शांति शांति शांति
Bante, you want to say something about the presentation? Venerable Gudashoma?
Yeah, actually it is, I think, aham Sanskruta madhyena idang prakatikaranam krutavan, kintu aham Sanskruta chatrah bhavami, tataha aham Sanskruta madhyena tat karanam prati visheshatascha acharyah nama kim, गुरुः नाम किम्, उपाध्यायः नाम किम्, मनुस्मृते च सौगत धर्मे च कानि कानि वार्तानि, कानि कानि कथं विवेचयेदेति अथवा कथं कथ्यते इति कर्तुं वक्तुम् अहम् अपेक्षा कृतवान्.
बहुशोभनं. संस्कृतमाध्यमेन भवान् प्रस्तुतं कृतवन्तः. एवमेव इति किम् अहं वक्तुं शक्यते. भवान् श्रीलङ्कादेशे स्थितो तत्रैव संस्कृतभाषामाध्यमेन भाषणं करोति एवमेव. So, बहुशोभनम्. Again and again, welcome Venerable. And
धन्यवादः महोदय.
I would like to invite our next speaker, Senaviratna Chaturika from Advait Count University, Sri Lanka campus, and his topic is spirituality through literary languages, referring to the English translation of the Witch of Portobello.
Yes, Dr. Vikas.
Yes.
She's here. We are playing her video.
Okay.
I'm Chaturika Senaviratne, presenting today on spirituality through literary language. This is with reference to the English translation of The Witch of Portobello by Paulo Coelho. Moving to the background of the study, we know that the interdisciplinary dialogue between literatures and spirituality is really ongoing. And the literature also shows many scholarly attempts at reading different literary texts in the light of Buddhism as well. Yet, we have a question before us when it comes to the literary language really as an instrumental force in carrying the spiritual message. Do you think the literature has paid much attention? Particularly the literary language of the modern novelist as an instrument in carrying the spiritual messages has not received much attention. Therefore, let's look at this particular novel, The Witch of Portobello, written by Paulo Coelho, the Brazilian novelist. As we all know, he is well known for spirituality and is translated into 63 languages worldwide. Let me quickly connect to the literature again, because we are looking at language as a forceful instrument. Language does not possess a rigid, fixed meaning, but is tinted by diverse factors, including the author's value system. I actually rely on this literature throughout in my study. It is in this background that I had the objective to identify the prominent features in the literary language that really helps carrying the spiritual messages through the inferred Buddhist themes in the novel. In doing so, I used my methodology, of course, qualitative, and it was twofold. Overall, close reading of the text was used with the support of qualitative content analysis. And here, thematic analysis was employed to extract and cluster the themes. Actually, that was done earlier. And I was referring to those findings. Among those diverse Buddhist themes identified, then the most common Buddhist themes of the novel were selected. Subsequently, the selected themes were grouped into the relevant Buddhist philosophical sphere. And based on those findings here in this particular study, I took those selected texts, and the language in each of the selected texts was observed using content analysis further. So in doing so, these were my findings. I hope the most important part of my presentation. So I found 3 characteristics. One was the simplicity of the diction. Very plain language was used throughout the book. And also a shared a sense of shared universality was found. Thirdly, a subtle use of poetic diction was also found, but I do not focus on it in this particular paper. When it comes to the sense of shared universality, of course, it was used as a carrier of the spiritual message. And then through the following linguistic structures in the English language, this was served the purpose. Interestingly, the use of the immense use, I would say, the first person and the second person was to be seen throughout the book. Like, for example, we, ourselves, you, yourself, such words, when it comes to the spiritual message that Paulo Coelho wanted to convey. Let me just share some of such interesting quotes out of many. So I have put the page number, the quote, and also the theme, just for your quick reference, along with the prominent language feature that I found. So here, when we look at the first quote, our time on this earth is sacred and we should celebrate every moment. So you can see when the theme of mindfulness is conveyed, the first person domain, of course, the plural sense here is used. Moreover, when the poetic language and simplicity is concerned, let me share one of such examples like g and g sound here. The grandeur of good, alliteration is used, and simplicity is also there. And when it comes to the next quote, each of us and our, like again, the first person domain is used. And here again, we, the first person domain, and as I said earlier, the simplicity can also be seen. Here again, you, yourself, you, kind of second person domain is used. So in all those examples out of many, as I said earlier, we can see that the spiritual messages have been articulated in a specific way in order to make the audience understand that sense of universality. So in conclusion, I would like to say the spiritual messages articulated in the translated novel are transmitted to its reader through a literary language which is equipped with the most prominent characteristics of simplicity and poetic quality of the diction. The sense of shared universality, which is manifest throughout the novel as a carrier of spirituality, is reinforced with the heavy use of the second person and the first person plural, along with the minimum use of the first person singular in the language. So with that concluding remark, I would like to finish my presentation. These were my references. Thank you very much. And I hope that this would really add to the interdisciplinary dialogue between language and Buddhism. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Dr. Roja Mesram, and she is the Director of Dr. Bhadanta Anand Kaushalyan Pali and Buddhist Study Research Center, Nagpur, India. And she is the Pali teacher there in Nagpur, India. And she is going to speak on Pali भाषा के प्रचार प्रसार में मराठी भाषा का योगदान. तो मैं डॉक्टर रोजा मैसराम मैम का स्वागत करता हूं और आपको आमंत्रित करता हूं आपके विषय पर बात रखने के लिए.
धन्यवाद विकास सर. करुणा शीतल हृदयं पय्यापज्योत विहतमो हतम सनरामरलोकगरुं वंदे सुगतं गति विमुक्तं. रिस्पेक्ट सभी वेनरेबल, आज के चेयर के अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर विकास सिंह सर, इन सभी को मैं अभिवादन करती हूँ. मेरा विषय है पाली भाषा प्रसार में मराठी भाषा का योगदान. मराठी भाषा में बौद्ध बुद्धिज्म कितनी जल्दी से स्प्रेड हुआ है, उस विषय पे मैं अपनी बात रखना चाहती हूँ. मराठी भारत के महाराष्ट्र की प्राकृत बोली भाषा है। महाराष्ट्र में बौद्ध धर्म का इतिहास सम्राट अशोक के पूर्व से हुआ है। पाली दीपवंश ग्रंथ में महाराष्ट्र का उल्लेख प्राप्त होता है। महाराष्ट्र एक ऐसा प्रदेश है जहां आधुनिक काल में बौद्ध धर्म का प्रचार, पाली भाषा का प्रचार बहुत गति से हुआ है। इतना ही नहीं, मराठी भाषा को पाली साहित्य मराठी भाषा ने ही समृद्ध किया है। महाराष्ट्र में विदर्भ में पौनी क्षेत्र में जगन्नाथ टेकड़ी स्तूप है। इस स्तूप को जिस तरह से बनाया गया है, यह शैली अशोक पूर्व काल की है। यह स्तूप बुद्ध अवशेषों पर ही बनाया गया था। इसका संदर्भ प्राप्त होते हैं, इसका संदर्भ भी मैंने यहाँ दिया है। महाराष्ट्र पर बौद्ध धर्म का प्रभाव बुद्ध काल से ही रहा है। फिर सम्राट अशोक काल में स्थापित धम्म रक्षित धर्म ने प्रचार प्रसार हेतु यहाँ आए थे, इसके भी संदर्भ प्राप्त होते हैं। आधुनिक काल में मराठी भाषा क्षेत्र में पाली साहित्य की शुरुआत सन 1907 में हुई है। धम्मानंद कोसंबी जी मराठी भाषा में पाली ग्रंथों के नागरीकरण की शुरुआत की थी। उसके बाद आज तक से आधे से ज्यादा तक पाली त्रिपिटक मराठी भाषा में भाषांतरित हुए हैं। दीघ निकाय मराठी भाषा में भाषांतरित है। मध्यम निकाय मराठी भाषा में भाषांतरित है। सुत्त निपात मराठी भाषा में भाषांतरित है। खुद्दक पाठ, धम्मपाठ, उदान, जातक के 100 से ज्यादा के कथाएं मराठी भाषा में भाषांतरित हुई है। और बहुत सारे ज्यादातर हिंदी में तो है ही, पर मराठी में सबसे ज्यादा है। और इन सब में आनंद कौशल्यान, धम्मानंद कोसंबी जी, इनका बहुत ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन रहा है। आधुनिक भारत में अगर हम लोग देखें तो डॉक्टर विमल कीर्ति ने मराठी भाषा में पाली व्याकरण, पाली शब्दकोश मराठी में किया है। दीघ निकाय मराठी में है, मध्यम निकाय मराठी में, और भी अनेक थेरी गाथा भाऊ लोखंडे जी की मराठी में है। ऐसे बहुत सारे त्रिपिटक के ग्रंथ है जो मराठी में हुए हैं। अन्य पाली बौद्ध धम्म संबंधी ग्रंथों की तो गिनती ही नहीं है जो मराठी में उपलब्ध है। आज 2021 में भी अनेक पाली साहित्य मराठी में प्राप्त होते हैं। सन 1950 से मराठी भाषा साहित्य और मराठी संस्कृति में मराठी वैचारिकता में बौद्ध धर्म का जो प्रभाव प्राप्त होता है, उसका सारा श्रेय डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर जी को ही जाता है। और जब हम लोग भाषा के तौर पर जब लोकल लोगों में भी जब देखते हैं तो हम पाते हैं कि अपनी उन भाषा में पाली भाषा को सीखना ज्यादातर पसंद करते हैं। उसमें जैसे ही कुछ सेंटेंस है जो अगर वो सीखते तो पहले है कि चला यह शब्द मराठी में है, तो चला को पाली में क्या कहते हैं, तो हम लोग बोलते हैं चलो का मतलब होता है चलन तू, चलिए चलिए, इस अर्थ में जल्दी चलो, खिप्पंग चलंग, धीरज चलो, धीरज धारयं, दुकान जाओ, आपणं गच्छ, खाना लाओ, भोजनं आनय, मुझे दो, भयं ददातु। इस तरह से सभी लोग ज्यादातर पाली भाषा को अपनी ओन मराठी भाषा में सीखना ज्यादातर पसंद करते हैं। वो उनको सहज होती है। और इस तरह से आज में मराठी भाषा में बौद्ध धर्म बहुत गति से स्प्रेड हो रहा है। और बाबा साहब की वजह से और आधुनिक भारत में बुद्धिज्म जिस तरह से स्प्रेड हो रहा है, सब लोग जिस पर जानकारी पाना चाहते हैं, अध्ययन करना चाहते हैं, तो अपनी ओन भाषा में ही करना चाहते हैं। तो इस तरह से आज अपनी भाषा में पाली भाषा बुद्धिज्म पढ़ना सभी को बहुत ही सहज लगता है। और इसी तरह से बुद्धिज्म इतनी गति से महाराष्ट्र में स्प्रेड हुआ है और उसका प्रचार प्रसार भी बहुत गति से हुआ है। यही इसका कारण है। तो मैं अपनी बात इसी कम शब्दों में रखना चाहती हूँ। इसके लिए धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Roja ma'am. And she has delivered her lecture on the contribution of Marathi language in popularizing Buddhism. She has talked about the Buddhist translation work in Marathi language from Pali and other Buddhist languages. And she mentioned the work of Dr. Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar and Bimal Kirti, Professor Bimal Kirti and Bhadant Anand Kaushalyan. So it was a very marvelous paper about the contribution of Marathi language. Marathi language is also the Indo-Aryan family's language. So thank you once again, Roja Mesra ma'am. And now I would like to invite our last speaker of the session, Venerable Bimalasri Thero and Mihira for their presentation on a linguistic study of registrar on classical Sinhalese prose in 13th century.
Sri Hamandruni, we are playing your video clip. So please stop presenting.
May
Yes.
play with
Are you presenting online?
yes, madam.
Okay.
ජීවන්ත මිස් මේ වරුණ මිස්ගේ සෙෂන් එකේ පොඩි අවුලක් පොඩ්ඩක් සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න.
හොඳයි.
Presenting.
Excuse me.
මම ඇහෙනවා ඇති කියලා හිතලා මේ data ප්‍රශ්නයක් වගේ මේ නිසා
ඇහෙනවා හාමුදුරනේ.
අපේ මාතෘකාව මේ පර්යේෂණය සඳහා යොදාගත්තේ පුරාණ සිංහල සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රවල ප්‍රාස්තාවික භාෂා භාවිතය පිළිබඳව වාග් විද්‍යාත්මක අධ්‍යයනයක් කිරීමට මේ සඳහා අපි යොදාගත්තේ 13 වන සියවසේ සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍ර ඇසුරෙන් තමයි මේ පර්යේෂණය සිද්ධ කළේ. මාත් සමග මේ පර්යේෂණය සිදු කිරීමට එකතු වුණා සිංහල රුවන විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ සිංහල අධ්‍යයන අංශයේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ කතිකාචාර්ය කිස්සිරි මිහිර බණ්ඩාර මහත්මයා. එතුමා සමග එක කළ පර්යේෂණයක් මේක. අපි දන්නවා මේ ස්ක්‍රීන් එක ෂෙයා කරන්න පොඩි ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. අද හොඳටම වැස්ස නිසා සිග්නල් වල පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඉතින් අපි මධ්‍යතන යුගයේ සිංහල ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍යයේ ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් මේ සඳහා අපි මුල් කරගත්තේ පූජාවලිය ඇතුළු සිසු සාහිත්‍ය ග්‍රන්ථ මේ අධ්‍යයනයට. එහිදී අපි අපගේ අවධානය යොමු වුණේ කොහොමද නූතන වාග් විද්‍යාවේ තිබෙන සමාජ වාග් විද්‍යා සිද්ධාන්තයක් වෙන ප්‍රාස්තාවික භාෂා ස්වරූප 13 වන සියවසේ ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍ය තුල භාවිතා කරලා තිබෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒ භාවිතා කිරීම තුළින් මොන වගේ සංවේදන කාර්යයක්ද සිද්ධ කරලා තිබෙන්නේ? සංවේදන කාර්ය සිදු කර ගැනීමට ඒවා ප්‍රමාණවත් පරිදි ඒ කාලේ භාෂාව දියුණු තත්ත්වයක පැවතුණාද කියන කාරණය මත තමයි මෙම පර්යේෂණය අපි සිදු කළේ.
සමාවෙන්න විමසිරි හාමුදුරනේ හාමුදුරන්ගේ වීඩියෝ එකක් තියෙනවා අපිට අවශ්‍ය නම් ප්‍රසන්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන් මෙතන.
හොඳයි මඩම් එහෙනම් ඒක කරොත් නම් හොඳයි මේ data ප්‍රශ්නේ වහිනවා වැස්ස නිසා වින්දද.
අපි ප්‍රසන්ට් කරමුද මේ නානලංකාර හාමුදුරනේ?
ඔව් ජීවන්ත මිස් එහෙම කරා නම් ලේසි නේද?
මොකද අපිට මේ ස්ලයිඩ් දෙකත් ඒකේ තියෙන නිසා ඒක ප්‍රසන්ට් කරමු හාමුදුරනේ. ඊට පස්සේ විමසිරි හාමුදුරෝ වහන්සේගේ අදහස් දක්වන්න.
හොඳයි. පිරුවන් සරණයි හැමෝටම මම දොරලියද්දී මුලසිරි හාමුදුරුව දැනට කැලණි විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ සිංහල අධ්‍යයන අංශයේ දර්ශන විශාරද උපාධි අපේක්ෂක වශයෙන් අධ්‍යයනය කරමින් සිටිනවා. අපගේ මාතෘකාව වූයේ පුරාණ සිංහල සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රවල ප්‍රාස්තාවික භාෂා භාවිතය පිළිබඳ වාග් විද්‍යාත්මක අධ්‍යයනයක් සිදු කිරීම. ඒ අනුව 13 වන සියවසේ සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍ර ඇසුරෙන් තමයි මෙම පර්යේෂණය සිදු කරන ලැබුවේ. මේ සඳහා මා සමග එක්ුණේ රුහුණ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ සිංහල අධ්‍යයන අංශයේ ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ කතිකාචාර්ය තිස්සිරි මීර බණ්ඩාර මහත්මයා අප දෙදෙනාගේම සාමූහික ප්‍රයත්නයක් ලෙස මෙම පර්යේෂණය සිදු කරනු ලැබුවා. භාෂා සාහිත්‍ය සමාජ ඓතිහාසික තොරතුරු අධ්‍යයනයට පුරාණ සිංහල සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රවලින් ලැබෙන්නේ මහත් ආලෝකයක්. එයිනුත් 13 වන සියවසේ සිංහල භාෂාවේ ඓතිහාසික විකාශනයේදී සාධනීය ලක්ෂණ පෙන්눔 කරන බවක් අපට දැක ගන්න පුළුවන්. සිංහල භාෂාවේ පවත්නා විවිධ වාග් විද්‍යාත්මක ලක්ෂණ අතර සිංහල ප්‍රාස්තාවික ඓතිහාසික ස්වරූපේ හඳුනා ගැනීමට 13 වන සියවසේට පූජාවලියේ ප්‍රමුඛ සිසු සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රවල ප්‍රාස්තාවික භාෂා ස්වරූපය අධ්‍යයනය කිරීම තමයි මෙම පර්යේෂණයේ මගින් අපි සිදු කරනු ලැබුවේ. ප්‍රාස්තාවික එළඹුම නූතන වාග් විද්‍යාවේ තුල සමාජ වාග් විද්‍යාව තුල බොහෝ සෙයින් වර්තමානයේ කතාවට ලක් කරන එළඹුමක්. මේ මෑත කාලයේදී සමාජ වාග් විද්‍යාව හඳුන්වා දෙන ලද්දක්. 1960 ගණන් බලපටන් කරලියට පැමිණෙන වාග් විද්‍යාත්මක එළඹුමක් වශයෙන් ප්‍රාස්තාවික එළඹුම දක්වන්න පුළුවන්. ප්‍රාස්තාවික යනු භාවිතය යනු භාෂාවේ සිදුවන වෙනස්කමක් හැටියට තමයි හැල්ඩේ මේ පිළිබඳව නිර්වචනය කරලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ අනුව අපේ පර්යේෂණ ගැටලුව බවට පත් වුණේ පූජාල් ප්‍රමුඛ 13 වන සියවසේ සිසු ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රයන්ගේ භාෂාවේ අන්තර්ගත ප්‍රාස්තාවික කවරේද යන්න පිළිබඳව අධ්‍යයනය කිරීම. මෙම පර්යේෂණයේ විෂයපතේ හා සීමා ලෙස ගත්තොත් භාෂා අධ්‍යයනය, සිංහල භාෂාව, ඒ අතරත් ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍ය 13 වන සියවසේ ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍ය සමාජ වාග් විද්‍යාවට අනුව ඒ සමාජ වාග් විද්‍යාවේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික එළඹුමට අනුව පර්යේෂණයට ලක් කිරීම. මේ පර්යේෂණයේ අරමුණු වශයෙන් පූජාලයේ ප්‍රමුඛ 13 වන සියවසේ සිසු සාහිත්‍ය ග්‍රන්ථවල ප්‍රධාන ප්‍රස්තර ආකෘති හා යෝජන ගැඹුරුන් අධ්‍යයනයට ලක් කිරීම සිදු වුණා. ඒ වගේම තත් ග්‍රන්ථවල භාෂාවේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික යෝජනයේ සුවිශේෂතා පර්යේෂණ ලක් කිරීම, සංනිවේදන විශේෂලා ප්‍රාස්තාවික කාර්යභාරී විමර්ශනය කිරීම කියන කටයුතු මෙහිදී සිද්ධ කෙරුණා. ඒ වගේම පර්යේෂණ ක්‍රමවේදී වශයෙන් පුස්තකාලය පරිශීලන සම්පාදගත ගුණාත්මක පර්යේෂණ ක්‍රමවේදයට අනුගත වාග් විද්‍යාත්මක න්‍යායානුසාරී වර්ග තත්ත්ව කොට නිගමනය කිරීමට හැකියාව ලැබුණා. මෙම පර්යේෂණයේ මගින් පූජාවලියේ ප්‍රමුඛ 13 වන සියවසේ සිසු සාහිත්‍ය මූලාශ්‍රයන්ගේ භාෂාවේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික ස්වරූප අනාවෘත කර ගැනීමට හැකි වුණා. ඒ අනාවරණය කර ගැනීම අපට හැකි වුණේ සන්දර්භ පාදක ප්‍රාස්තාවික කවරේද කියා සොයා බැලීමටත්, පටිත පාදක ප්‍රාස්තාවික කවරේද කියා සොයා බැලීමටත් හඳුනා ගැනීමටත් අපට අවස්ථාව ලැබුණා. ඒ වගේම මේ සන්දර්භීය ප්‍රාස්තාවික සහ පටිතපාදික ප්‍රාස්තාවික යෙදුණු සමාජ පරිස්ථිති කවරේදයි සොයා බැලීමටත් අපට අවකාශ ලැබුණා. ඒ අනුව 13 වන සියවසේ සිංහල ගද්‍ය සාහිත්‍යයට අයත් පූජාවලියේ ප්‍රමුඛ සිසු ග්‍රන්ථවල භාෂාවේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික භාෂා ස්වරූප ඇති බව අනාවරණය කර ගැනීමට අපට මේ පර්යේෂණයේ මගින් හැකියාව ලැබුණා. සියලු දෙනාටම බොහොම ස්තුතියි. I would like to summarize this research in English. In sociolinguistic, register is new approach which is analyzes language varieties. M.A.K. Halliday defined register as language variety of use according to the context of situation. According to these new theories, we did this research to find out register which were used in ancient Sinhala literature, especially in 13th century, including Pujavali and other Sinhala prose. According to this theories, we could find out many registers in 13th century. As a result of this research, finally we founded in written communication authors. In 13th century, were succeeded in using register according to context, such as farming sector, religious sector, and literary sector, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanderwall, for summarizing this. And I couldn't understand in Singali language, and this is my ignorance that I couldn't understand the language. But in future, I will easily and I will learn this language. This is very beautiful language, one of the sweetest language, Singal language.
Yes,
And
sir.
you summarize this in English, so it is very useful for us. So thank you very much. And the last presentation is left Miss SMMD Kumari. I think it is available in video mode.
Dr. Vikas, she hasn't sent his video clip.
Yeah.
And she's not presenting here.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Nyanlanka Hamadurene?
Jeevant miss.
Yeah, now we have finished the presentations, right?
Okay, so it's time us to go to question and answer session. If you have any questions, it is time us to discuss within this period of time.
Venerable says, Dr. Vikas Singh, I would like to ask a question from Ukraine scholar. Her name is Ivan, no? Ivan.
Yes, Venerable.
Ivan, I want to know
Pitulai.
about.
Her name is Pitulai Victoria.
Okay, Victoria. It is very familiar to us, Victoria. Yeah. So I want to know about. Yeah. Thank you. I want to know about the Buddhism in Ukraine. So is there any chance to propagate Buddhism in Ukraine, and also which language we have to use to give our Dhamma message to the people in Ukraine?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think that, for example, me, I am a PhD from philosophy. Yes, that's why Buddhism and religion, such as, is very similar to me, to my worldview and to my values. That's why on my practical classes, because I have classes from psychology and from philosophy, and I always tell my students about Buddhism, about worldview of Buddhism, and we need to know and to know about this religion. That's why I think that, for example, me, I have classes in Ukraine with foreign students. That's why I use English language. I speak with my students in English. But of course, I can use Ukrainian when I can speak with Ukrainian students, and I share my knowledge about Buddhism. I share this knowledge with my students. I think that Christianity and Buddhism and Ivan Franko think, and me too, that Buddhism and Christianity has a similar questions, similar views on the same problems. That's why we need to develop our inner world. We should develop our worldview, our values. That's why I think that we can speak different languages. It doesn't matter which language.
So, Victoria, we can organize a workshop or webinar or seminar with regard to the Buddhist counseling and meditation and very practical Buddhism. We can discuss furthermore, and you can organize such kind of seminar or webinar. We are ready to help you. Here we have Buddhist scholars. Yeah.
It will be very great. That's why in such case, when we feel anxiety, COVID-19, that's why we need to practice meditation, I think, because it helps us to calm, yes, to be calm, to be patient, and to feel peace, yes. That's why it is very actual problem.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
So Chaturika Senivira has raised her hand. So it's your time.
Thank you very much, Venerable. I also have a question from Victoria again. I don't think she's getting tired with many questions. Actually, the presentation was quite interesting, Victoria. Thank you for that. And I just want to ask you, when you were looking at the poetic text, did you pay attention to the other the other available translations as well, or did you focus on one particular text? I think I missed the first slide, perhaps. Just for clarification.
What is the question? I don't understand the meaning. Yes, I analyzed the text of Ivan Franko poems, yes, Ampertiro and many others, and I analyze their text, meaning of their text, psychological and semantic, yes, orthographical. That's why, yes, I combine in my research psychological, philosophical, scientific elements.
Yeah, the translations, just for clarification, because it was interesting, I just wanted to know whether you looked at the translations also, the translations of the same text.
Translation, yes, we have in our library in Ukraine translation Ukrainian poems in English. Yes, we have a special book. Yes, when we have these poems are translated in English. Not yes, I'm not translator, but we have a special book with translations. Yes, in English.
Oh. Okay, yes, thank you so much. I wanted to know, because mine was also translated related stuff, so I wanted to know how this poetic language is gone among translators. Thank you very much, Victoria.
Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Vikas, I have a question to the Erugabe Gunasoma Thera. Yeah, we will ask from English because I want to connect you also for this answer. Can we use the word upadhyaya or upadhyaya for lay people?
No.
That is your answer. No, how about the answer of Venerable Gunasoma? Mike off Gunasoma.
Thank you so much for that great question for me. I think according to Buddhism, there isn't any upadhyaya for lay person in the Buddhism. Then every time or any time, if we want to search a upadhyaya, that's connected with monk, not connected with layman. That's my answer.
And also Mahopadhyaya, the Maha Mahopadhyaya, there are two terms which are very connected to our university. So we name our Vice Chancellor as Mahopadhyaya. Then the higher level of Mahopadhyaya is the Maha Mahopadhyaya. So Dr. Vikas Singh, how about Indian usage of these two words? Please switch on your mic.
In India, Venerable, we have upadhis. What we called it in English, upadhis like a sir by the Britishers or the Queen. In India, Maha Mahopadhyaya is a upadhi or a title, not a specific job or the occupation. Maha Mahopadhyaya. And I think before the UGC regulations 2016, some professors used this term Maha Mahopadhyaya and Upadhyaya, but now all terms is outdated. Now we use Sahayak Acharya, Sah Acharya and Acharya in the academic field, like assistant professor, associate professor and professor. So we don't have such words in the current scenario, Venerable.
Okay.
But it was used. It was used for the, you are saying, like for Vice Chancellor, we can say Maha Mahopadhyaya. Dean we called Mahopadhyaya. And professor we can call Upadhyaya, like this.
Okay.
Dr. Vikas Singh.
Yes, Venerable.
Bharata Singh Upadhyaya, how he used like that? Upadhyaya. I think he is the lay person, no? Lay scholar.
Yeah, but in Bharat Singh Upadhyaya, Upadhyaya is the caste. Upadhyaya is the surname for the Brahmin caste.
That's why
upper caste of India. Yeah,
that's why they use, no?
Yeah, that's why they use.
Okay.
It means it's a religious. It's a religious term, no?
Yes, Venerable. This is the religious terms, and Mahopadhyaya, Upadhyaya can be only Brahmin, not all the peoples of Indian system, Indian social systems. That's why Bharat Singh Upadhyaya used this term, Bharat Singh Upadhyaya.
But according to Buddhism, can't use lay people like that title.
Yeah,
only can use for monks.
Yes, Venerable. And yeah.
Chaturika Seniviratna, do you have a question? Okay, so I asked because she has raised her hand. If it is not so, we can go to more questions of others.
Is there any question? Or we can wind up this session.
Yeah, we can wind up, and please give message about the concluding remarks. 4:30 p.m. Miss Jivanti will do it. Please join. Okay.
As I think Dr. Upul Piyantagamage, he has a question to raise. So it's
thank you very much, Hamdurone, and the session chair, and all the other participants, including our Venerable Dean, Professor Srinivasa Thero. The question, of course, this is not a question, just a clarification from Doraliadde Thero. I can't see the other part of the name. In that presentation, I found that they have used the approach of sociolinguistic for the study, and then and there I heard the name of Halliday. I need to clarify whether they have used Halliday's approach or purely kind of a sociolinguistic approach.
Yes, Venerable Doraliadde Vimalasiri Thero, it's up to you. You can answer in Sinhala or English both. What you like.
I think he can use sociolinguistics.
මෙම පර්යේෂණයේදී සෝෂියල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික් වල 1960 ගණන් වලදී හැලිඩේ හඳුන්වලා දීලා තිබෙනවා එළඹුමක් context based register संदर्भ පාදක ප්‍රාස්තාවික කියන. එතකොට මේ සංදර්භ පාදක ප්‍රාස්තාවික යටතේ වූ ඥාන තුනක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා. field of discourse, tenor of discourse, mode of discourse. ඒත් අපි 13 සියවසේ සාහිත්‍ය ග්‍රන්ථවල මේ භාෂාවේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික ස්වරූප අධ්‍යයනයේදී ඒ පිළිබඳවත් කලකා බලලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඩග්ලස් බයිබල් එයා හඳුන්වලා දීලා තියෙනවා වර්ගීකරණයක් පටිත පාදක text based register පටිත පාදක. ඒ පිළිබඳවත් ඒකේදී කලකලා තියෙන්නේ මේ ව්‍යාකරණීය ලක්ෂණ grammatical features pronouns adverbs adverbial verbs ඒ පිළිබඳවත් අපේ පරිශ්‍රණයේ අවධානය යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා.
හාමුදුරනේ මේ මම කාටරි මයික් එක ඔන් කරලා තියෙනවා කියන පැහැදිලි ડોક્ટર විකාශය මතය ඕකේ thank you very much දැන් ඔය හැලිඩේගේ ප්‍රවේශයයි සමාජවාද විද්‍යාත්මක ප්‍රවේශයක් තමයි ඒක. නමුත් හැලිඩේගේ ප්‍රවේශය විශේෂ ප්‍රවේශයක්. ඒක අපි හඳුන්වන්නේ සිස්ටමික් ෆන්ක්ෂනල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික්ස් කියලා. එතකොට ඔය රෙජිස්ටර් කියන concept එක එන්නේ සිස්ටමික් ෆන්ක්ෂනල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික්ස් වල. එතකොට හාමුදුරුවෝ ඒක න්‍යායාත්මක ප්‍රවේශයක් හැටියට යොදා ගන්නවා නම් you should say that this is under social linguistics. That's true, but specifically it comes under systemic functional linguistics. හැලිඩේ විශේෂ වෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම ඔය ෆන්ක්ෂනල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික්ස් වලත් මේ සිස්ටමික් ෆන්ක්ෂනල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික්ස් කියන ග්‍රැමටිකල් අප්‍රෝච් එකත් එක තමයි එයා විශේෂ වෙන්නේ. එතකොට හාමුදුරන්ගේ අර සෝෂල් ලින්ග්විස්ටික් කියලා කිව්වම ඒක හරිම මේ අපහැදිලි නැත්නම් අපි ඒක නිශ්චිතව අපිට මොකද්ද න්‍යායාත්මක එළඹුම කියලා හොයාගන්න බෑ. ඒකයි මම ඒක ඇහුවේ. thank you very much.
අර මේ ප්‍රාස්තාවික කියන වචනේ පොඩ්ඩක් මට පැහැදිලි කරගන්න ඕන. ප්‍රස්තාව කියන වචනයෙන්ද එන්නේ නැත්නම් වෙන වචනයක්ද?
ප්‍රස්තාව කියන වචනේ එන්නේ ඒකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ භාෂාව යෙදෙන භාෂාවේ කෘත්‍ය යෙදෙන පරිසරය. විවිධ ප්‍රස්තාවන් වල විවිධ එකම පුද්ගලයා විවිධ ප්‍රස්තාවවලදී විවිධාකාරයෙන් භාෂාව භාවිත කරනවා. අපි දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් හේන් ගොවිතැන කරනම කෙනා කුඹුරු ගොවිතැනේදී වෙනත් විදිහට තමයි භාෂාව භාවිත කරන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ පන්සලට ගියාම වෙනත් ආකාරයකට භාෂාව භාවිත කරනවා. එතකොට මේ ප්‍රස්තාවට අනුව භාෂාවේ සිදුවන වෙනස්කම ප්‍රාස්තාවික විදිහට තමයි නිර්වචනය කරන්න පුළුවන්.
ප්‍රා කියලා යෙදුනේ වස්තු වාස්තවික වෙනවා වගේ ඒ අර්ථයෙන්ද
ඒ වෘද්ධි වීම තියෙන අර මේ එක ප්‍රත්‍යයක වීම නිසා ප්‍රස්තාදනයික ප්‍රාස්තාවික කියලා ප්‍රස්තාව දනයික ප්‍රාස්තාවික කියලා මේ එතන තද්දිත පදයක් විදිහට තමයි ඒක සැලකිලා.
Okay, and I want to give one suggestion for Petulai Victoria ma'am. She is available. Petulai Victoria ma'am. I think she has gone. And
she's connected. Yeah.
She's available.
Yes, she's available, and yeah. But as I think she may leave.
Okay. Then for Roja Mesram ma'am, क्या कुछ ऐसे भी टेक्स्ट हैं जो सिंगली से मराठी में ट्रांसलेट हुए हों या मराठी से सिंगली में गए हों?
हाँ सर, या एक जस्ट 1 मिनट मैम. पाली अट्ठकथा साहित्याचा प्रभाव आणि विकास, यह सिंहली बुक है जो मराठी में ट्रांसलेट हुई है.
Oh, So Venerable, I have asked about the some text which is available in Singhali language and translated in Marathi language. Because nowadays in India, Marathi is a prominent language in the Buddhist persons due to the Bodhisattva Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's Dhamma Diksha. So Marathi is our current Buddhist language. Marathi and Hindi is now current Buddhist languages. And so we can wind up, Venerable, this session.
Before wind up, before wind up, I want to know about the Marathi Buddhist texts. I think Rosa Madam is very, very interesting on this topic. I suggest you, you can translate some Buddhist texts such as Jataka stories. Have they translated, already translated Jataka stories?
मैम जातक स्टोरीज का ट्रांसलेशन हुआ है मराठी में?
जी सर 100 जातक कथाएं मराठी में ट्रांसलेटेड हुई है, मतलब 50 तो पब्लिश्ड है, 50 को मैंने पब्लिकेशन के लिए डाल दिया है सर। पापा ने किया है, डॉक्टर विमल कीर्ति सर ने ही किया है मराठी में।
वो काम आप किया या दूसरे आदमी किया है?
नहीं, हम माय फादर डॉक्टर विमल कीर्ति।
ये सर प्रोफेसर बिमल कीर्ति जी के सुपुत्री हैं, अगर आप जानते हो प्रोफेसर बिमल कीर्ति।
जानता हूँ, बहुत खुश हुआ सुन के बात। ठीक है, धन्यवाद।
And Venerable, one thing more, I have translated one book of Bhante Kandangama Deepa Vansalankar Matero, Dhamma Chintan, the thoughts of Dhamma, and I have translated it in Hindi, Dhamma Chintan, in the title of the Dhamma Chintan, and it will be available soon in market, and we will inaugurate this book also. Great. In this session, there are 5 presentations. One from the Ukraine by Miss Pitulai Victoria, and the second from the Sri Lanka by Venerable Gudasoma Vikhu, and third by Miss Sena Viratna Chaturika, and fifth one from India, Roja Mesram ma'am, and last one by Venerable Bimala Siri Thero, and a good discussion regarding the Ukrainian literature and some Sanskrit and other Marathi language literatures. And I would like to thanks Venerable Sailakatharagam Gudalankara Thero for moderate this session. And I would like to thanks to organizers and especially the Vice Chancellor of this university, Dean Professor Lenegal Srinivasan Mahathero, the webinar chair, Venerable Kandangamma Deepavansalankar Mahathero, webinar joint secretary, Miss Jivanti Hitarchi, and all the audience from different parts of the globe who joined this conference. And this was very, very comprehensive conference. And I think I would like to end the Buddha's Bachan, Sare, what is the Sarang Sarato Yatva? Sari, I forget that. So, whenever you memorize that one, Dhammapadas Gatha.
Sarang Sarato Yatva. Yeah, correct.
Sarang Sarato Yatva, Sarang Sarato, Sarang Te Sarang Adigachanti Samma Sankappa Gocharo, like this.
Correct.
So once again, thank you very much. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim from India to all of you.
Okay, so there is one Dr. Karuna Jayadev. He has raised his hand, as I think he is also have a question to raise, but what do you think about, is there a room to ask that question and to, what do you think, Doctor?
There is no question actually. I just wanted to add something to Dr. Vikas Singh. We also have translation, Marathi translation of Jataka by Durga Bhagwat.
Okay, ma'am.
So that is also a good one, as Rosa madam said.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And yes, yes. So we have these translations available. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, yes, I think it is time us to wind up our session. So before going to wind up our session, I would like to thank our chairperson, Dr. Vikas Singh, and Assistant Professor Lenagala Sirinivasathero, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Languages, Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka, and the Most Venerable Kandega Madipavansa Lankarathero. He is the secretary of this international webinar, and as I think Jivanti Hettiaraji, she is also the co-secretary of this special online event, and all presenters. And as I think, if I missing someone, then I ask, excuse you, and so we'll wind up our session. So all participants and scholars, so my grateful thank to you all. So thank you.
Please join with us for the concluding remarks at 4:30.
හාමුදුරුවෝ එක වෙන ලින්ක් එකකින් තියෙන එකක් කියන්න හාමුදුරුවනේ.
There's another link to that one.
ඒ ලින්ක් එක අපි මෙතනට දාමුනේ දැන් ගිහිල්ලා කට්ටිය.